Morning, afternoon, morning for you. Yeah, morning.
Good morning, Holly. Can you hear me?
Yes, good morning. How was your drive?
Um, Tell it.
Why? What happened? Oh no, you cut out a second. Or I'm cutting out. I'm not sure. One of us is frozen.
Shoot.
Oh, there you are. Now you're back.
Okay, I'm gonna stop my video.
Oh yeah. Is it
Just
dodgy up
because
there?
I'm literally on the very top of a mountain and
True,
there's
right.
there's not even cell service here. Like there's nothing.
So how are you even on the internet?
I have Starlink.
I don't know what that is.
Starlink mobile. So yeah, Starlink is a form of internet that goes by satellites.
Oh, that's funky. I don't know if we have that here. Oh, I might have lost you again.
This is not good.
There you are. Now you're back.
Oh, this is terrible.
Well, it's better than nothing, and at least we can
Oh, it looks
be.
like it's your internet.
It's my internet.
Yeah,
Shoot,
yours is going back to you. Oh, you're good again.
shoot. So I need to turn my video off. Let's see if I do better now. This might be a no video class. Can you hear me? Oh,
This is a
now
nightmare.
now it is you. You're connecting back to audio.
Yeah, but that was just me
Oh,
just now, not you, because I can still see that yours is fine. So, but no, I just have,
oh no, that's Rita's connecting. Sorry, I was like, wait a
yeah,
minute.
no,
How are
that's
you
her
on here twice?
connecting. I thought that
Yeah.
we cut out again. No, like literally, this is a dead zone. There's no internet, there's no cell service, and I just use my Starlink up here.
Wow. So is Starlink in your house too, or is that like just like a
Yeah,
special service that you can get?
no, I have two complete Starlink systems, one for my house and one for my trailer.
Wow. That's so cool. I'm gonna have to look and see if anything like that exists. But at least we
Yeah,
know if a bear come and like chews off you or your husband's arm, that you will be able to call somebody to come help you.
I actually can because we have our phones connected to Wi-Fi calling.
Oh, okay.
So my
Even
phone
the
works here as a regular phone.
gotcha.
Um,
Okay.
as long as, but I'm just looking right now, like there's some obstructions because I'm in a really wooded, heavily wooded area.
Hmm.
So we'll see how it goes. And I have a call with Rita later this week that's super important. It has to work for that. If necessary, I'll drive down the mountain for that one.
Okay.
Um, so we'll see how it goes on this call today. Hopefully it goes okay. Because this is my first time using Starlink for a meeting.
Yeah. Yeah. Big difference. So, hey, Rita. Oh no, now we can't hear you. We're all struggling today with our internet connections.
Really, can you hear me now?
Yes. Now that you put your microphone up.
Yeah, I must remember that piece of the
I
puzzle.
mean, it's minor detail.
Tiny.
No big deal.
Yeah, really insignificant for the day. Hello, Christine. How's your holiday?
It's good. I actually just woke up not too long ago. My husband and I both slept till 10 a.m., which we've never done in the 20 years
Oh,
of being here, and it was wonderful and relaxing. And now I'm just after this, I'm going to get out on the lake onto my kayak and just
Mhm.
enjoy that, and then read and diamond paint and do all the things that I love to do and get some work done. I'm actually also right after this going to get my emotional IQ quiz thing done. And
Yeah.
every day, just do a couple hours worth of stuff on here to get caught up from the work I haven't done previously.
mm.
What's
So
diamond painting?
What's diamond painting?
Yeah.
Is that what you, oh, it's when you take little tiny billions of little dots. They're different colored dots, and you put them dot by dot onto a sticky sheet that
Uh-huh.
makes up a picture.
Are you putting them on by hand, or is there like a little instrument you use to like peel the dots off and put them on? Was I cutting out there? Am I back now?
You're back, but Christina's gone.
I'm
Oh,
here.
okay.
I just turned off my video because it's better for, oh, Rita, now I see your internet struggling a bit. Oh, not mine. So I just got to notice my internet connection's unstable. What is it today?
Yeah, it happens. It happens with Darling.
We might just have to all be video less today.
Well, you know,
No, I was asking, like, is there an instrument that you use to pull like these tiny little dots, like off of whatever to put on the sticky page to make the paper?
yeah, it's like a little, it looks like a pen, and
Uh-huh.
it has a wax, it has an indent on the end, and it has, you just press wax into the end. So it allows, the wax is sticky. So
Yeah.
you can pick up the individual little, they're called drills, and they're
Yeah.
just look like little tiny diamond things, and you can put them where they're onto, almost like paint by numbers,
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, that's cool.
onto
I'm gonna
the
have to look
color
this up.
coded sheet.
Yeah. So then in essence, it looks like a painting made of sequins and shiny diamonds, kind of.
Mm.
Lights.
What did you say?
I said I'm doing a picture of the Northern Lights right now.
Oh, that would be really pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to Google this afterwards. This is brand new information. I love it.
Christine, while we still have brand new information, I'm just thankfully saying that we are meeting each other. I lost it. Don't know where I am in my diary. Just remind me when are we supposed to connect? Christine?
Are the two, I keep losing you. I don't know if it's just me. I think it might be just me because it's so bad up here.
Okay. Now I'm asking, when is our meeting, our connection?
Oh, our meeting together is, let me look on
Hmm?
my calendar here.
Please.
It is, hold on. I don't know. Just give me 1 second.
It's okay. I know I put it in, but I have massive issues with the calendars.
Yeah, Monday, August 26th. Can you
Okay,
hear
what
me?
time? Yeah,
Well, 7 a.m. my time. I sent you a link. You,
you did. Christine? Sorry, Holly.
Yeah, I can hear you guys fine.
oh, did
Can-
you not get that meeting schedule
No,
Zoom request from me, Rita?
no, I haven't.
Oh, weird. It's here. Okay, I'm going to
I'm
look into my
so sorry.
actual Zoom and see where that is.
Yeah, just resend it to me and I will confirm that I have received it. So if you send it and you don't get confirmation from me, then we know I haven't received it yet.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah. Mm,
Are you sending it right now, Christine? Since I can't see everybody, I have no idea. I'm not sure what we're doing.
I am going to send it to her right
Okay,
now.
I thought that's what you guys were doing, but I just needed to confirm.
Yeah, and that's okay. Like I was trying to say, I feel like there's a really big disconnect today, and I don't know if it's just my internet or if it's with everyone.
I'm gonna say it's probably, unfortunately, you up there,
Okay. Okay.
but I feel like when we're just like pausing, then like you show up. It just, yeah, I think there's just a lag. And with all our
Okay.
videos off, we're not, it doesn't seem to be near as bad as it was.
Okay. That's not
Yeah.
good.
Well, but it's better than nothing. I
Yeah,
think we'll be
it's just
fine.
I find it a little frustrating
Yeah, I'm sure.
to feel like because there's big gaps for me
Okay.
um where I don't know if people are talking or if anyone is, hearing anything, and it seems to be getting a little better. I just sent you an email with Rita with the copy of the invite.
Okay, I'll confirm when I receive.
Cool, thank you.
Pleasure.
All right, let's get into her maybe.
Yeah, let's do it. So, well, let's do coaching first again then. That way, if anything goes even worse, then, and you have to cut out, you can catch back up on the lesson, but we can't catch back up on the coaching per
Yeah.
se. But I think there's also been lags because we all have been like quiet and waiting, like not to overspeak anybody. So I think when you two go into a session, it'll just help you have that help you practice your moments of silence and pause for one another.
Yeah,
Um,
and if I know that there's I don't know, this should be interesting. Let's see how it goes.
yeah, let's see how it goes. Um, I'm sure it'll be grand. Let's just say it's like quarter after. Are you 3 hours behind, Christine? Eastern time? Is it 10:15 your time?
Hello?
Hello? Is it
Oh,
is it 10:15 your time?
11:15 my time.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, so you're 2 hours behind me. Okay, I wasn't sure if you were 2 hours or 3 hours behind the East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know my Canada time zones very well. Sorry.
I
Unless
don't
you're
eat I don't either,
okay.
and I live here.
I know it's like unless you're at one extreme or the other. It's for some reason
So,
for me, even though like Canada is as wide as the United States, I still feel
mm-hmm,
like you guys are so much wider. But maybe it's just because you're not broken up into so many little chunks like we are, right? Like your area,
mm-hmm.
yeah, state. What do you call them? Not states, but
Province.
yes, your provinces are way bigger than our states. So,
Yeah, and
okay,
then you have South Africa, which makes sense. We're one country, one
yeah,
time zone. It never changes. There is no tomorrow morning I wake up and it's an hour later or hours earlier. It just never
yeah.
changes. It works for me.
That's lovely. That's
It is.
lovely. Like the perfect little place.
Exactly.
I know. Way less stressful, I'll tell you what. Okay, well, why don't I turn it over to
Hello?
Christine?
Oh,
Yeah. Why
okay.
don't
I
I?
literally just got booted from our Zoom and got back in.
Oh, oh, I didn't see you booted at all.
Christine, yeah, I think what we should do is actually you should put on your camera because I will see immediately if you freeze and I can try to stop talking when it seems as if you're frozen. So that I try to
Okay.
pick up when you're not there. We can try.
And also, would it be better if you just called in on your phone instead of like, do you know what I'm saying? Like the
I
old
don't
school
think
calling?
so because
Okay.
it's the same service
Yeah.
regardless.
Gotcha. True.
And it
Okay.
depends. This is the other thing too. It depends because this is satellite-based internet. It depends where the satellite is. So at
Mm,
some points, my internet, I'll get speeds of like 100 megabytes per second. Other times it might be 10.
yeah.
So I'm not really, yeah, I don't really know. Maybe I should have gone down the mountain for this. So
We have lost
hello,
you. There
hello.
you go. Now you're back.
Oh my gosh. I'm feeling like Rita, maybe, I don't know. Should we do this another time? I'm feeling kind of, how do I say it?
Stress.
Stressed.
Yes.
I keep going, hello, hello. It's long
Mhm.
breaks, and I know people should be talking, and I feel like it's going to screw up the timing of the call because if she's talking and I
Mhm.
don't know that she's talking, and then I'm missing half of what she's saying, I feel like we're going to have zero flow to this coaching session at
Yeah.
all. And I don't know
Yeah.
how I'm going to be for timing for the 30-minute timing.
Right.
It,
No,
if
I think we can skip it if since it's so laggy, I think you guys will be okay. You're coaching a lot.
Yeah.
So I think
Well,
I'll
but
tell
also
Cheryl,
her and we can do another session and send it to Cheryl.
right? That's true. Yeah. You guys do what you feel best. I will tell Cheryl what was up. And she'll completely understand.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was hoping it would work better than this. And I'll still stick around for the call, um, like for the class portion and see if I can,
Yeah.
hear what you guys are saying. I don't feel comfortable coaching someone when I don't know that I can hear them.
No, that's really wise. Actually, fair.
Mm, no, 100%. So what I want to quickly check in and say while we have now 6 minutes. Um, Christine, I was thinking our last coaching session that we had, um, are you okay if I send that in for the ICF mentoring to Cheryl so that she can give me feedback on that coaching session and not the first one, that one you and I had privately, and just ask her. I just felt last week was, for me personally, more powerful.
Did you hear what I said?
No,
Okay. I said yes, share any meeting we have. Doesn't matter which one it is.
okay. I'm gonna ask her if I'm allowed to switch because I've already sent her the first one we had. But I just feel the last one was better, and I want her to spend time on a quality product rather than sending me, okay, you could have done this better, but I've already grown another 2 weeks further. So I check
Yeah.
in with her.
Yeah, isn't it amazing what just a few more classes can do as far as and listening to one another coach, like how that can change you so much in your
Mm,
coaching and what you think to do and what you think to ask and not.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Well, then why don't we move into the lesson? Well, we know
Yes.
that we have Christine good and strong, or strong and as much as we're going to get today, love, and that's okay. Okay, so I think I'm correct in stating that you all did not, the chapter is not uploaded for you as for y'all right now.
I actually didn't have time to check, so I would not be able to honestly
Okay.
respond to that.
Okay. I don't think it was uploaded either. And I think the funeral is today or tomorrow. So I had passed on the information earlier, and I'll pass it on later this week. So I'm just sharing my screen and we'll go from that. I know it says chapter 7. That's because, again, the newest one wasn't uploaded and she had kind of changed some of the chapters around. So ignore that it's chapter 7. But know that it's the same, building that trust, safety, and rapport. So we'll just go through this, talk about building that trust and that rapport with our clients. And then you'll have this in your folders or in the drive. It'll get uploaded. The nice thing about y'all being a smaller class or a small class is you have plenty of time, right, to like get your questions answered and go back over things down the road, because you're not like a class of 10 where like when the classes are a lot bigger, there's just a lot more people with a lot more questions, and so then sometimes it's harder to get through material, or you don't ever have like extra time. So you guys have plenty of extra time if down the road you have some questions and whatnot. So we never want to say that any core competency is more important than another one, because they all are super important. And we all need to be displaying all 8 core competencies in every coaching session that we do as coaches. And if we're a client, hopefully our coach is also doing all 8 core competencies with us. So none are stronger or more important than the other, but I do think there is a lot more to be said about building the trust and the safety and the rapport with our clients than we might think, right? Because I think especially for me, like I don't struggle with like talking to a stranger, making friends. I think just part of my personality is people just open up to me, whether I want them to or not. And if you guys aren't those people, you know people like that. And so I think a lot of times we can kind of brush over this core competency, and we do really need to think about how we are creating that safe environment for our clients. And of course, like that level of trust and safety and intimacy that's in a session is going to look different. I don't want to, it could be dramatic, but it's going to be really different whether you're in a more emotional niche or if you're in a more business-like niche, right? So I was coaching a coach and her niche, and it just, life takes twists and turns and you end up doing things you didn't even think. And for her, she ended up becoming not just an addiction coach, but for sex and pornography addictions. And again, like that's not what she had thought about going into, and didn't have, she was just kind of put into it, I guess is what I want to say. And she had explained how it was so hard to not be judgmental of the things that she was hearing. And not even so much judgmental, but like shocked. And we need to, whether, so what they're going to hear versus what a career coach is going to hear is going to be a lot different. But regardless of what our niche is, we need to be able to withhold judgment and bias. And that's really going to, When did y'all lose me?
Do you really want to know?
Back on page 1?
Yeah.
What was I
So
talking
after
about?
Christine said, no, no, futile, she's leaving. My
Oh
mind
no.
froze. My Starlink froze. So I'm frantically putting in my very old mobile stick thing to try and connect. Finally, I got back. I realized, no, I don't think Holly is here.
And then it dropped me, and I was like, oh my gosh. No. We're all wonkadoodle today.
We are. We are.
Gosh, I've never had it this bad. I'm just trying to think the wise thing to do here. Seriously, when let me screen share.
Well, basically said, the last thing I heard was basically when you said that placing rapport is very important. You were talking about the coach that ended up in a more personal coaching setting niche, and the whole non-judgmental career coach will hear something different to addiction coaches. So that's when I lost.
Oh my gosh. So you didn't even hear me doing here like techniques like releasing, active listening.
Mm-mm.
Holy crap.
But did you lose connection, or do you think it will be in the recording, the Zoom recording?
I think because the whole time I kept watching and you were up there, your logo was up there. Like I could tell your camera was turned off and like you were up in the top corner of my screen. So as soon as you fell away, then it said screen sharing has stopped. And that's when I was like, oh no.
Okay.
Um
So I wonder if we should talk about the technique. The content. So the theoretical context. Maybe we should chat about the techniques. That's your experience, basically. I don't know.
yeah, that's what I just had finished.
Oh, yeah. Shame.
But no, we can do that again. And then if we fall off again, like we will call it a day. And the chapter will be uploaded. And you will definitely have time to talk some more about this because this is, like I was saying at the very beginning, this is a basic core competency, right? And if, like I said, I think on Tuesday, I think I said to y'all, like, I've never met a coach who can't form a connection with people. I mean, that's what makes us great coaches, is it's just already intuitively some of this born into us. It's part of our gifting, it's part of our personality, whether we like it or not, right? Like when people just come and start sharing things with you and you're like, whoa, I'm just trying to check out at the grocery store. Like, why are you telling me this stuff, right? Like, but that's us as coaches. It's just in us. Like we give off that aura, we give off that energy, and people just feel safe, even in a grocery store line, telling us things. But I think what's so important about this is the withholding the judgment and really trying to grow and look at this in the bigger picture, because it really, whether we can build just rapport and trust is one thing, but if we can really connect and like, and I'm going to say intimately, and that's a strong word for a client coach relationship, but intimate, so I don't mean it that strong, but like intimately connect with our clients, then that's when we're going to be really super successful coaches as opposed to just coaches, because that ability to not just have the rapport and people start, you know, telling us things, but when we're able, and I'll go back to these techniques here, to do these things when people are telling us and we're listening, that builds that deeper level. That's when you start to have that intimacy, and our clients really know that they're in a safe space, in a space where they can share things that they might not have shared or thought they'd ever share with anybody. And did you hear me talking about taking leaps of faith in safe spaces? I think the difference, you know, again, between like building trust and rapport is one thing, but when we really use our emotional IQ and dig into our rapport building and making a safe environment for our clients, that's when they start sharing things that they wouldn't have risked sharing with someone else, particularly not a coach, right? Because we are not therapists, we are coaches. But when they're in a safe space, they might share things that they wouldn't have shared before. And those little things might actually be the key to unlocking the success that they're looking for in whatever the coaching agreement is for just that session, or what they're overall trying to accomplish as a client, and why they came to you, you know, looking for a coach, right? So you have like their overarching why they've come to you, and the bigger picture of what they're looking to achieve and accomplish, and then there's each session. And yeah, you guys can go back and just listen. I talked a lot about empathy and our emotional awareness as far as what we share about our own stories and we don't share about our own stories, and some techniques I do to when I know if I should share something or not.
And
So
I just want to rewind a little bit, because what I experienced is I felt very relieved when I realized there is an area of people that I just won't be able to coach. I just won't be able to go there. So it has never happened. But my boundary is, and this was while I was still in psychology. I even knew as a psychologist I would not be able to go if the client was a child molester.
Oh, yeah.
I won't be able to give that safe respect he needs or she needs to grow. And I felt really good by saying, hey, I discovered this one boundary that I just won't be able to cross. And felt really good to actually give myself permission to say to a person like that, I don't think I'm your best coach. You know, so let's find a person who can give you that respect. And I think in coaching, that's also very important to know what is that safe boundary that you have, so that you can go deep with your client and give them that opportunity to come to you, no judgment, whatever comes first, let's work on it. Let's connect with it and get it over. But you don't want to be in the middle of oh dear, what do I do now, you know? So.
No, that's a really good point. Like really, to think through where our boundaries are and what, because like, you're right, like off the top of our heads and hands there probably are, like I agree with that. Like I could not help a child molester. I wouldn't be able to give them the safe space like you're talking about. And there's probably a few other things that areas of life I just am not the person that would be able to create that environment for them. And not only knowing it up front, but I think also if those things completely unexpectedly, right, like pop up in a session, we know Now, if it's a moral code and they need to be referred to a therapist and or a doctor, totally different, right? But if certain things pop up in their life and in their story, yeah, being able to say to them, you know, what you're speaking of, like, I just trying to think of a nice way to say it really, like, quickly and not judgmentally, but I'm not your best coach. I think there's other coaches out there who are much better suited to walk this journey with you than I am. Right. And so making it about us and not about them. And then, if possible, helping them find the right next person, but at least knowing, like, we can't head down that path. Yeah. There's nothing worse than, like, opening up and sharing something and you get judged for it, especially if it's something you've held on to for so long, even if it's minute, but it obviously means a lot to you if you've held on to it and you share it and it gets shut down, right? And you share something a few times, and if it gets shut down every time, it's like you're just going to lock it away in a box, where you're just going to accept it as when I think about things in my own life, like, just accepted them as my own fault as a human, and that's just the way I'm made, and I don't like it, and I just have to deal with it. That's not what it was. People were just shutting me down, and they just weren't able to hear what I was trying to say and how I needed help. Yeah.
Yeah, and I never want to be the reason for somebody that needs to shut something away for the rest of his life and feel
I know.
judged and boxed in. This is the one thing I'll never break free of, because the coach couldn't handle it. No, never happened to me.
Yeah. It's a good mantra. It's a good prayer for ourselves as we enter into sessions with clients and new clients. Yeah. Really good point. So when we talk about rapport building, the techniques that we want to think about and what I had said was this releasing technique that you had done so beautifully with Christine on Tuesday, and giving her that space to ground herself, take some deep breaths, and focus on the session before she entered into the session. And sometimes, always giving that space for a client to release something is definitely going to create a safer environment. And sometimes what they need to release, or they need to get grounded, but whatever is, like, first and foremost on their mind, it might end up being what is their topic for the session, and that's okay. But when we give that release time and we take those breaths and we visualize, or what we choose to do with our clients, that allows them to really focus in. And if they're feeling really frenzied about something, to hopefully maybe come down a notch or two before they enter into the topic for the coaching session. Because, like, with Christine, like, we knew I'm assuming she has not come back on. Am I correct? Okay. Yeah. She's, I'm sure, out for the day. So poor thing. But she was frenzied because her weeks had been so busy and she had not had the time to really prepare for vacation. And there's just nothing worse than feeling frenzied about a vacation. And so giving her that space to just take those deep breaths and really ground herself so that she could talk about what she needed to talk about was really powerful. We talked about that at the end. So releasing is a big way to build rapport with our clients. And then active listening. So when we're truly actively listening, we have the saying, read between the lines. and I like to say as coaches that we need to listen between the lines. Like they're saying one thing, but they're really saying something else, right? What's being implied. And sometimes it's just, our gut is telling us that. And learning to lean into that gut feeling and what we think is being like said between the lines. And so when we lean into that, when we're truly listening and we're picking up on things that they're saying and giving those back to them. And so like summarizing it back. And I don't mean like what we were talking about as far as like the summary at the end of the session. I'm just talking like those quick snippets, that we give in a session. Like when you said back to Christine, I want to go back to a word that you said earlier, and you used the word worthy and you left it, right? Those kinds of quick snippets, or when you're like, tell me more about that. When someone's talking out loud, or think back to like when you've talked about things out loud, it's really freeing. And sometimes you hear what you're saying because you're like, oh my gosh, did I just say that out loud? But usually you're not fully comprehending everything that you're saying because your mind is thinking about all these different things as you're processing out loud. So as coaches actively listening, we are picking up on these little dots, and we're able to connect dots for clients that they're not able to connect for themselves, at least not in the moment, and definitely not as quickly as we as outside observers can connect dots when we listen to someone else's life. So when we're able to connect dots or summarize back to them what they're saying, then they're truly, truly hearing it. And then that's going to create huge awarenesses. But it's also going to show that you really care. Like you are truly listening to them. And you're listening in such a way that you're hearing things they didn't even fully hear themselves say. They heard themselves say it, but that didn't stick. You're making it stick. Like taking the dots and putting them on the sticky paper. Here's your thing.
Yes. And something I realized today,
Mhm.
I had an amazing session with a different client.
Yeah.
And once again, I realized people crave validation. I'm not
Yeah.
active listening. That's
Mhm.
what it is. I see you.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah. Validating what they're feeling and recognizing it and giving it that space for them to feel it. Because we don't have the time to process. And we quickly push emotions down instead of allowing them to really come to the surface and to feel them. Yeah. And mirroring, we're talking about matching the client's language. And I think this is so powerful because, again, it just goes back to the active listening of, what words are they using to describe their emotions? What visual images are they using? What turn of phrase are they using, right? Like anything that they're using to speak to something, especially if it's repeatedly, that we use that same lingo, that we use that same language to talk back to them, because obviously that's how they see it, that's how they feel it, and that's how they're going to identify with it. And so again, it's just showing them like we're right here with you, but also like matching their tone of voice, sometimes matching like their speed, and also just body language. I mean, it's huge. And I think a lot of people at first and in the middle of the pandemic were really thrown off by not being able to meet in person. But I think now we have really learned to pick up on body language on Zoom, on a video call, right? Is the client like sitting back? You know, are we as coaches leaning in? Are we taking notes? Like, or are we pushing back, you know, from the client? So all of those little things are huge, even if they're done on Zoom. We pick up on them. And then we want to be consistent with our clients. Like, we don't want to show up, you know, crazy happy one day and crazy sad the other day. That's where we need to really regulate ourselves, and goes back to our own emotional awareness. We need to regulate ourselves before we enter any and every session that we're a part of. We need to be on that even keel, because the energy that we bring to a session is the energy the client's going to pick up on, good or bad. And really, ultimately, like when I think about my sessions, I want my clients to feel a sense of calm. I want them, you know, not just the safe space, but a calm, safe space where they can enter in and let the crazy of the day or of their life or the season of life kind of slide off them, and back to releasing and taking those breaths, you know. So we just want to make sure that we're consistently showing up. And if we're aware of our, you know, if we're really using our emotional intelligence and tuning into that, then we will be able to show up consistently as the same coach. And one second, my AirPod died. Okay. Let me grab my charging cable.
Yeah, while
Oh. Yeah, we haven't even taken a break.
Charging cable, I saw emotional contagion in action
Mhm.
at the funeral. It was a very, very traumatic time in our community. A boy fell into the soybean silo. His
Oh
aunt
no.
behind him.
Oh.
His dad was there, his uncle was there, everybody was trying to dig him out. She was in the pit, she went after him, and then she realized she's in trouble. They let her husband down, and she got hold of his leg, but she was already, you know, under all the soybeans. And at some point he said, she's dead, she left my leg, she's not alive anymore. And then they had to basically try and hoist him out because the soils was pushing up. So I gave him a pipe to just give him oxygen. All his veins in his eyes burst.
Oh.
The mom is waiting at the bottom of the soya pit, unloading the soya as quick as she could, and trying to catch her son at the bottom, with the dad being on top, trying to keep 4 people alive under him. So it was very close house friends of ours. We went to the funeral.
Yeah.
And the baby girl of the aunt, at some point, Holly, she was playing, you know, like a 3-year-old that doesn't understand everybody's here, but I want to play. And then when the funeral started, the overpowering emotion of distraught was just, she suddenly threw down her little doll and she started howling. And she howled. And I said to my children, I held them, and I said to them, this is emotional contagion. And this is, I can only feel all this emotion. And I'm picking up on something that I can't describe, but I'm picking up on the overall and the overarching feeling. And I think that was a big lesson to me. Exactly what you say. What am I bringing into? Because emotional contagion, we can't bullshit. We can't get away from it.
No.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's so sad. Sad. How was the family? When was that?
We're going in October. It will be 2 years. They're battling. Exactly.
Yeah, that's
Father met a lovely lady
mhm.
who's willing to walk the road with him and continue. And it almost infuriated my friend more because she said, you can choose a wife and you can proceed, but I can't choose a new son and proceed. So I can see it's causing, it's
Oh
pulling
yeah.
her back in the cycle of anger.
Mm. Yeah, that is going to be a lifelong horrible journey.
Mm. And they're still on the farm every day. When she opens the
Yeah.
back door, there's the silos. That's the
Uh,
other way.
hopefully they'll find some sense of healing and be able to move forward down the road.
I just trust they will. I just decide I'm going to
Yeah,
trust this process for them as well.
yeah. Um, as far as like personal disclosure, so when you go back and listen, and I talked about emotional awareness, I talked about some ways that how I handle like when my emotions get triggered, my own personal stuff gets triggered, and how I handle that. And then if a story pops up that I feel I need to share with the client or want to share, like how I push that to the side and I wait for it to pop up 3 times in my head during the session before I ever bring it into a session, because sometimes a thought or something you want to like, oh, I had that same thing happen, and you think, oh, I'm going to share this with them, and then you hold it back and you realize like 5 or 10 minutes later, like, oh, that's not at all where they were going with this,
Mm.
or what we might bring in is going to take space and time, and we want to make sure the client has all the space and the time that they need. So I talked about that back in emotional awareness in deeper detail. So here, as far as just like personal disclosure, there's that amount of like knowing when and how we share parts of our journey with our clients, if we so choose. We might not choose to, and that's okay as well. But we can still give levels of personal disclosure, and that is even just simply, I hear you, or I have been in your shoes. Oh, I know that feeling. It's so hard. Any way that you can just um, verbally share with them that you identify with this, you've been there or you are there with them, that's personal disclosure. And that is going to build that intimacy in the session and with the client overall and over time. And I know intimacy is like not the right word to use here, but there's really not a better, take
Mm.
intimacy at its most basic level as far as building with our clients. But that's when you really have, start to build those connections. And it's so simple. It's back to that validating, and it's back to sharing. I've been there. I know what that's like. I mean, that just makes our clients not feel alone.
Yes.
It shows them like, I'm not the only one on the planet feeling this. And I think that's another beautiful thing about being in a niche, is when you're in a niche over time, you start to see and find and hear all these similarities between your clients, right? And so you're able to say to a client without breaking ethics, because you don't need to say someone's name. You can simply say, I see this emotion in a lot of my clients, or a lot of my clients struggle with this exact same blah, 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 blah. And just simple things like that, even if it's not, we haven't, but we can talk, speak to like tell a client story or clients in, general terms, like that is validating for a client. And that's building that intimacy. Like, I really am in a safe space. Like, I'm not shocking her. This isn't brand new information. Wow, I thought I was the only one. So all of those little disclosures that don't seem like a lot really add up in a coaching session, especially when you think about how much we speak and don't speak in a session. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then,
I
oh, go on.
I experienced this with the cystic fibrosis community.
Mhm.
And oh, this one lady, she just felt so overwhelmed and so lonely.
Mhm.
And in the end, I said to her, "Can I tell you a little secret?" She's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "I haven't spoken to one patient who doesn't feel like you'd feel today.
Mhm.
It's okay to feel like this. You're not alone."
Yeah.
And she started to cry. She's like,
Mhm. Yeah, isn't that, I mean, it's the simplest little thing, but like the healing it can bring, or the releasing that it can bring that you didn't know you need to release.
"Yeah, I
Yeah.
like that one."
Yeah. And then the other thing, as far as just like building that rapport, is that positive reinforcement. And we want to celebrate and we want to dance with them and do all those things. Where I struggle as a coach is I'm such a cheerleader that, um, you know, a lot of times I find myself saying, I love that for you. This is wonderful for you. And have to be careful because that is giving my opinion on their situation, even though I, before becoming a coach would have never thought about that, but it is. So we have to be really careful that we are celebrating what they're celebrating and not interjecting our opinions into it, only because if we do that, then they're going to come to us for encouragement and moving along, and you kind of start to build on a basic level some of that dependency, and we don't want to do that. So that's just where we need to be careful with the positive reinforcement, that we are celebrating with them and on this journey with them, but we're not interjecting parts of ourselves. So when I had done a session and it had been reviewed, it was brought up that I had said to this one person like twice, I love this for you. This is so great for you. That was my opinion being forced in there because that's what I thought. And obviously I'm thinking the client thought it was great, but you don't know what's going on and how that could start to build some dependency. So it's just being careful, just being aware of it. That's it. Otherwise, celebrate, encourage them, give them any positive, reinforcement that you can.
Sure.
And then as far as just the safety, in our relationships with our clients, is that we are setting those clear boundaries and expectations. And so that's just not only saying to our new clients what our coaching relationship is going to look like, this is how we're going to interact, this is when we're going to interact, that we stick to it. Right? Like a lot of people struggle with going over in time. Oh, I'll just give them a little extra time. Oh, I'll just give them a little extra time. But if you consistently do that with a client, they're just going to start assuming they always get extra time. And then that's eating into someone else's time and someone else's time, right? And it's such a little thing, but it's a really big boundary to be breaking at the end of the day if you're consistently doing that. So back to being consistent and just whatever boundaries and expectations that we set up, that we stick with them. And that's for the client's health and for our health, right, in our workspace. And then that our workspace isn't oozing over into our family lives. And really continually in ways, different ways, shapes and form, reminding the client that these sessions are confidential and that they are protected. I have the story of just a couple Christmases ago. I was on the phone with my sister-in-law, and I mean, she's been my sister-in-law for like 15 years or something. I mean, and so we have a really good relationship. We just live really far away from each other. My whole family lives in Texas, and I live on the East Coast. So it's a 17-hour drive. I'll put it in that perspective, like to drive to them. But I always fly to Texas 2 or 3 times a year. But anyways, I digress. So I was on the phone with my sister-in-law, Amy, and I don't even know what we were like talking about. But we're just talking and like sharing things. And all of a sudden, like, and again, I don't even remember what the topic was, but it was not, obviously it wasn't a weighty topic, right? Like it doesn't stick in my mind. It wasn't something that was like, oh, I would expect this to be something hard for her to share, right? But all of a sudden, she just got like really quiet and like wasn't talking. And she was kind of like making noises, you know, like, yeah. And I could tell she was holding back. You know, you can just get the sense in your gut and you can just hear it like in their voice. And I said, Amy, I know we're not in a coaching session at all, but how about that? I'm just going to state to you right now, we will treat this as a coaching session. So whatever like you're struggling to say to me right now, you can say it. And I promise I will hold it in the strictest confidentiality like I would with a client. And she goes, oh, okay. And then she shared it. And again, it wasn't, I mean, I'm not trying to like downplay my sister-in-law in any way, shape, or form, but I think it just really wasn't anything big. But for some reason, she felt that she needed to hold back on it. And maybe she would have thought I was going to cast judgment or, you know, even something like that I just wouldn't have even imagined. But just saying to my sister-in-law in the middle of 2 sisters chatting, hey, I'll hold this in the strictest confidentiality. Let's pretend this is a coaching session, allowed her to open up. And it like, I just thought it was the craziest thing. And I thought, gosh, I'm really glad I went with my gut because I felt really odd like saying that. And I found myself now having to say that a few times to friends about things. So it's just, to me, like really brought home the power of just reminding our clients at certain times, particularly if we can tell they're struggling to say something, just to be like, hey, you know, you're in a safe place. Whatever we talk about here, it is private and it is confidential. You know, reminds them and gives them that next layer to like to open up. So never be afraid to like restate that. In fact, put it on your list of things that you might need to randomly be bringing up to people so that they do go to that next level of deepness or sharing that one thing they wouldn't have wanted to share. But once they remember this, you know, this is private, confidential. I know we're 4 months in to our coaching client relationship, but let me just remind you, this is private, confidential, that might open up that floodgate that, you know, needs to be opened up. And then just developing that non-judgmental presence in our sessions with our clients. That is going to, every time we do that, is going to build that safety in the session. And I think, like for me, in an emotional niche, like coaching niche, I find for me, it's being very accepting of whatever somebody's feeling, whether I felt it or not, whether I feel like it's a really strong emotion or like that's a completely adverse reaction or feeling that I would have in a situation. But back to the validating, like holding that back from my face and my body language and just listening. And even if I can't validate it in the moment, you know, like listening, keeping my presence calm and my face neutral, and allowing them to speak. That's that non-judgmental presence. And then I had said earlier when you guys weren't on, I was talking to the wall. Oh wait, what did I say? Well, now I forget what I was going to tell you that I said. Oh, when we find those things popping up in us, and it usually pops up when we least expect it, right? Like we're like, oh, I didn't know I was going to feel that kind of way about something, or I had that little bias or judgment inside me. If you feel that pop up in a session, like make a note and get with Christine, get with another coach, like if you don't have a coach, and just talk through that, right? Just explore it so that you're aware of where that's coming from and that you have processed it. So the next time that comes up, it's not like a surprise for you. You know how you handle it, or you want to handle it, or whatever. And that just speaks then as well to like inclusivity and acceptance of people's backgrounds and experiences and perspectives. And this is, for me, going back to being a youth pastor overseas, like the breaking down the walls of like the American Holly. And that was a huge thing when I came back to the States. Was people, would say to me, well, you're American, you should be able to do this, or you shouldn't feel that way, or you shouldn't think that way, you're American. And part of my healing process was coming to terms with accepting and clearly stating at times to people, and I still state it to people, no, I'm not American anymore. I'm a third American, I'm a third Irish, and I'm a third Austrian. Because all of these cultures and backgrounds and experiences that I have had and seen and lived through with other people, they all have made me who I am today. Not who I was at 18 or 22, but from 23 on, it started changing me. And so now, like, I'm not American. I'm not. I am somewhat Irish and I am somewhat Austrian, and certain things are going to come out in certain situations. And that was hard for people to accept. And they don't even, a lot of people, especially like some friends in the South, they have no idea how to accept that and how to like process that. That's fine. I don't need them to, like understand it, right? Or even be able to process it. But I just need them to know, yeah, there's something weird about Holly. Call it weird. I don't care. But she's kind of like a pie, and she's a third this and a third that and a third this. So when she says a word I don't recognize or responds in a silly way, it's probably her Irish or her Austrian self coming out. So just even little things like that about people, that we need to accept and find out. And I think it's really fun when something comes up with a client that I don't understand as far as background, experiences, perspective. That's when I love to ask questions around it. Now, that's also because of my experience of living overseas for so long. It was trained into me, like, no, ask questions, find out, like, understand where these things come from. Don't assume. So I love asking those things when they come up. So like really being able to enter into the client's world of, what's their background, or, what did you experience that allowed you to have this like really great perspective that like I never would have thought of or hadn't thought of. And then another way to just keep building that rapport is, again, that autonomy and that ownership, so that the clients are setting goals for themselves. They're attaining them for themselves. They're not attaining them for us. They're not attaining them out of dependency on someone else's feelings or emotions or, outcome. That they're really owning their own journey. They're owning their own decisions that they're making, right? And that speaks back to emotional intelligence as far as helping them really process through the consequences of some of the decisions they might need to make, so that when they do make it, they're willing to accept consequences. Because sometimes we do, I mean, not sometimes, we all in life have to make decisions that are going to affect other people, good and bad, but it's the right decision for us. So we have to come to terms with, you know, my parents might not be okay with me making this decision. You know, this might hurt my relationship with this person, but I have to take this stance or do this goal or go down this path. We want to be just responsive and adaptive to our clients' needs, and that flexibility of letting the client lead in the session. That's going to build rapport. That is going to build safety. The client's going to be able to see, like, man, I can throw these things out at Rita and she goes with it and she lets me talk and she just listens and responds and doesn't, you know, force me back into a box or anything. And we really do want to check in with our clients. And it's not even like an every session kind of thing, but maybe once a month or every quarter, depending on like how you set up your relationships with your clients, right? Like, is it 3 months, 6 months, year, whatever? Picking points and time where you check in with them. And that can just be with an email like, hey, are you in the place you thought you'd be in? Are you not in the place you thought you'd be in? What do we need to improve upon or work more on in this coaching relationship to get you to where you need to be? Because again, that is that flexibility and saying, this is your time, this is your goal. Please tell me, how can I keep helping you? Are we going at the right pace and down the right trail? And then building a safe community. This is if you are doing group coaching or like team coaching, like working for a company, that kind of stuff. That's where there's a community. And that's a lot harder to build that safety and rapport in a group of people, especially if they don't know each other, right? Or the thing bringing them together is not very, what's the word? I'll say emotional, but that's not the right word. It's just a more technical word I'm looking for kind of topic. You're just not expecting, like, you're not going into this group thinking I'm going to need to be vulnerable. That's the thing, right? So if it's just a group where they're not thinking they're going to need a lot of vulnerability, I think sometimes that's where it's a little bit harder and you really need to reinforce that safe space and the confidentiality. But that speaks to group coaching and team coaching. And then we want to just have reflective practices in our own lives, and then with our clients in the coaching sessions. And I think that's where just, you know, the simple question at the end of, you know, what was a new thing you learned about yourself today? What were you proud of that you talked about or worked on today? Little things like that. That get them to stop even in the moment as you're closing a session and to say something to reflect back on that they can carry with them. Okay, so there's a little activity, but we're not going to do it since there's just the two of us. And I don't think it's anything the two of you like strongly need to practice on. And it's just, the activity is sharing a personal experience and then the next person repeating back, summarizing back to you. Like, so what I'm hearing you say is that just felt really hard and uncomfortable, but you knew that you needed to do that. What I'm hearing you say is that was just a beautiful, freeing moment for you. And I heard you use the word butterfly, and that you just really felt like a butterfly. That's what this activity is. Yeah. And you guys have already displayed that at times. But, you know, it might be a interesting thing to do with the family. I'm sure you could turn this into a game somehow, Rita. It's not a game, but you could call it a game for your kids. That would be to see what comes out, what they share. Or just
Yeah,
even practicing with them as they talk to you about their school day or their sports or time with their friends, you know, just, man, you know, what I'm hearing you say is, and seeing how they respond and what that does for them. Yeah.
I can see them. Oh, you're a coach again, Mom.
Yes, but just let go with it.
Yeah, I am. That's
No.
that's in the end my conclusion. I'm like, yeah, I am.
My fiance's previous marriage was obviously not good. They wouldn't be divorced. But it was really bad. And almost 20 years of marriage, 10 years were spent on and like 10 years on and off throughout the marriage was in counseling with way over 10 counselors. Because whenever the counselor would kind of cop on and see what the wife was about and some of in her tendencies and whatnot, and would start to bring it to the surface and try to address it or call her out on it. Of course, she did not like that. And so she would fire them and they would end up having to go to another therapist. But that means my fiance is like amazing at coaching questions, and he's not even a coach, but he has sat through so many, and it's not funny, but it is, it's like this sweet little thing to take from that of like, you know, he asked really thought-provoking questions, and as a coach, like we find ourselves like repeating back to each other naturally or asking these kinds of questions. And sometimes I'll just laugh. I'll be like, well, that's a great coaching question. But I know he's like seriously asking it, right? You know, and so then I'm able to answer it. So, you know, even I think when people find it funny that we do these things, they are still really powerful. And they really do help in so many areas of life. Yeah.
Okay.
One of the ladies I used to work with in Austria was a therapist, and she had like, and I think every therapist does, but it's just because I worked with her like day in, day out, had like her therapist face. So when she was really actively listening and tuning into what you were saying, she just got this like, and it wasn't a bad look at all. It was just the face of like, I think how she zoned in, right? And so like sometimes we would just be talking about whatever, and she'd get on like the therapist face, and I'd be like, Jean, I see the therapist face. What would you really like to say to me right now? And she'd laugh and she'd go, oh, okay, well, this is what I was thinking. Like, okay, thanks. I feel like free therapy without paying for it.
So sweet. That is so sweet.
So any other thoughts, questions?
I will really have to think about the celebration thing.
Yeah.
Because it's actually something that I teach my parents not to do.
Oh.
I say to them, it's like Circus Charlie. Do you remember the game, Circus Charlie?
I don't know if we had him.
There was a video game, and it was built upon a circus with various, what do you call that in English? Various challenges. And the one thing, it was a running lion, and he had to jump through the hoops. So
yeah,
sometimes long jumps because there's 3 hoops, or quick jumps, or high jumps. That was Circus Charlie. And I said to them, that is what we are doing. We are raising Circus Charlie, because my mom insists on something, then I jump a little higher. If my dad wants something, I just and I just want to hear you such a good boy. I said, okay, what do I need to do today to get the words, you're such a good boy today, and I am proud of you. So we just train them to be junkies, really, approval junkies. I think for me, the reason why I want to find a way to celebrate, I think sometimes our adults disconnect from the from a bit of the child joy. We
Hmm.
get so serious, we get so caught up. But once we just can reconnect with a little bit of silly joy, it's almost
Yeah.
like I'm still just down a child in me, and
Hmm.
I like, so I thought that could be a very positive connection
Hmm.
for a client. So maybe what I should encourage rather, um, maybe in the coaching agreement, in the contract, before we coach, to say,
Hmm.
this is something that's me.
Hmm.
But this is not about me. So how would you like to acknowledge your own
Hmm.
um, breakthroughs,
Yeah.
and how can I celebrate it with you? What would
Hmm.
you prefer? So maybe that is something that I will definitely put back to the original conversation,
Yeah.
to heighten people to say, you've made this progress. How do we celebrate?
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
this was something that I really needed to hear tonight.
I think it would be really interesting as you process this, like how you would explain the difference between truly like celebrating and good positive reinforcement versus creating circus Charlies,
Yeah.
like because I know exactly what you're talking about, and that's not what we want our kids or any of
Mm.
our relationships like to live for. And we do that thinking it's encouraging, but is it really, is it really fostering the right things in people, encouraging the right things? So like I think a lot of people would say, well, I'm very encouraging. I always tell them, good boy, I'm so proud of you, those kinds of things, but that's not really. So how you would explain like those two kind of difference? Because um I don't think it's a fine line, but it feels like it's a fine line.
No, it's a fine line. It's a really difficult line. So for me, it comes back to praise versus encouragement. The praise is, I am proud of you.
Hmm.
You did a good job.
Yeah.
I like your picture. Much like you said, when you said to your client, I wish that for you. You know?
Yeah.
Um, what I'm teaching the parent is to say, the child got 80%. That is a very high mark. What does this mean to you?
Mm.
I feel great.
Yeah.
And then you high five, but without words. It's just a high five because he acknowledged that he's happy.
Yeah.
But in the same thing, or the same thing, the child would burst out in tears and say, Mom, but this is so easy test. I should have got 100.
Mm. Yeah.
I'm so
True.
sorry about the disappointment.
Hmm.
What do you need to, to get through this? So I'm
Yeah.
teaching my parents to coach their children.
No, I think that's
Full of,
awesome. I think
um,
that's great. I love the way that, yeah, you're differentiating it and teaching it. I love that.
yeah, so
For
for
me,
me is,
not for you. I love it.
yeah, yeah. So I'm trying to say to the parents, remember your
Yeah.
pride and your thing. It doesn't matter. We're trying to teach the kids, what is your values? How do
Yeah.
you evaluate? How do
Hmm.
you make sure, okay, I'm not happy with the results, or I'm not happy with this? How do I improve on that?
Yeah.
If your child asks you, Mom, I really need advice now. I don't know. Then you could
Yeah.
say something like, well, it feels to me that
Yeah.
I'll ask permission. Could I offer you some advice?
Yeah.
Quite frankly, teenagers are very quick to say, no, thank you.
Yes,
And then
I
you
know.
respect it.
Yep. Right. Exactly.
without judgment. That's okay.
Mhm.
What do you need?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Could I ask you other completely irrelevant questions to the lesson?
Yes, you may.
So, Holly, um, I'm really going down the path of niche.
Yeah.
I don't want to just be a parent coach.
Yeah.
And then I realized my whole life was about breakthroughs,
Hmm.
either breakthrough or break free.
Mm.
So I said, that's what I'm going to do. And if you connect emotional intelligence, if you connect a couple of other things I've done, breaking free from parentness, giving yourself
Hmm.
permission to be a different parent,
Yeah.
that's also breaking free of something,
Yeah.
breaking through your chronic illness.
Hmm.
So it really resonates with me. Okay, so I was very
Yeah.
proud. I'm a breakthrough coach. I've got this. And then I
Yeah.
start Googling breakthrough coach. I couldn't find
Yeah.
breakthrough coach. But what I could find was breakthrough coaching. And it's a coaching program.
Hmm.
Now, my question is, am I allowed to say I'm a breakthrough coach if I didn't sign up with that school that's saying
Yes.
I am breakthrough coaching?
Yes, you are.
Okay.
Yeah. Because that's not, I mean, really, you can be, how do I say this? You can be any niche that you want to be. Now, whether people believe it or not is another thing. So I'll give this example. When I went and got my certification, it was at a different school, and Cheryl was an instructor there. And so she was my instructor. And I had a meeting with her. And so I was getting my certification, and I wanted to get certified. And I thought I needed to get this niche and all of these things, but I only had X amount of money, and I needed to get it done sooner than later so that I could leave my other horrible job and make this like full time. And for me, I wanted the world to know this was my next career. Gone from missionary and now coaching. These are careers for me. These are not just jobs to pay bills. So for me, I had set in my mind what it would feel like, where I personally needed to be, blah, blah, blah. So I'm talking to Cheryl and I'm saying, I need to do this, I need to do this, I need to do this. And like, should I start taking, this course first or do my accreditation first? And this is back when ICF worked differently as far as like how we went about getting our credentials, right? You probably know, like from your first go around. And do I need to get the niche certification first? And she's like, well, wait, what's your niche? And I was like, oh, well, I want to be a Christian coach. And she said, remind me again, what was your previous job? And I was like, oh, yeah, I was a youth pastor, as a missionary. Okay, right. And where did you go to school? I was like, oh, I went to a Bible college. What's your degree in? Youth ministry and theology. You have a degree in theology. You do not need to back the bus up and get a certification in being a Christian anything. She's like, I would think it's safe to assume that your audience that you already interact with, big or small, know and believe that you're a Christian and you have been doing these things. Like, it's kind of silly, And so I always say to people, like, if you've worked in HR for years and now you're going to be a career coach, you do not need to go take career coaching niche, right? Like, now I am super messy. Bless, this is where my emotional intelligence needs to change. My poor fiance, talk about this a lot, but I'm 48. I've lived alone. And I'm just not naturally, like, I'm organized in certain areas of my life, but not in others. And so if I was all of a sudden, like when I came out, when I announced that coaching was my next career, if I would have said to people, I am a organizational coach, people would have laughed out loud. Close friends, acquaintances, anybody, they would have been like, you are a what? Holly, you were like, that's not you. You would much rather be with people than clean a house. You would much rather, be doing anything that involved helping someone else than cleaning, because that's what it kind of comes down to. So I would have had to have taken extensive courses and basically have a doctorate in organizational techniques to prove that anybody should come to me as an organizer. Okay. So I'm always like, if you are known for what you want to coach, if you have a background in that, if you have a life experience of that, you don't need to go take a small niche course to prove that. But I think particularly what you're talking about and what I'm just imagining and assuming the school is, they're using that word in a big, broader sense of, because as coaches, we're always helping people break free, breaking through something to get them to the next level. But you're talking about it on a much deeper level, right? And so what you would speak about when you explained yourself as a breaking free coach or a breakthrough coach, what you put on your website and on your, all those kinds of things, like that is going to resonate with people so deeply. They're not going to need you to have gone to a school called Break Free Coaching. You might find throughout the years and as you're doing research that there might be some scientific, like, or psychological studies, that like might be really good for you to look into and learn, like the cognitive stuff and building new habits, or I don't know, but something along those lines that you might choose to go study to help you be, like take that next step in helping your clients. But no, you don't need to. So that's just kind of how I explain like coaching niches for people.
Okay. Thank you.
Focus on the main thing. Yeah. And you already have a story. You already have that experience. And I think it doesn't have to just be in parenting, right? I mean, I think there's a really broad range of, now you might choose to, like at the beginning, narrow and focus in on parenting if that's what you're known for, because that's what your client base is. And then as you're growing and getting more clients, that you start expanding, right? So you're not advertising, can help you break free from disease, but you might start getting those clients as you get referrals, and then you can start adding them to like having them write a referral for you and like a review, and you can put it on your website, right? Because we always want to niche down really tiny. We want to make sure that we're just really hardcore, like focusing on one people group within our niche. Because if you try to reach everyone, you're going to reach no one. But if you really focus in and try to reach that one unique personhood in your niche, then you're going to in turn reach many, because that one is going to reach two and that one's going to reach one, and it's going to be a growth as opposed to like it just being a crapshoot of like, when someone just says they're a wellness coach, okay, well that's pretty broad. Like, what do you who are you specifically trying to help with wellness? But you can always change it. You're not stuck in something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really felt very, very strong that I would like to go for the chronic illness. I feel
Yeah.
um, almost as more people know me as
Hmm.
reader who struggles, well, who has CS,
Yeah.
than people know me as a parent coach,
Okay. Yeah. Gotcha.
to
Okay.
be
Yeah.
honest.
Then
Um,
that's where you start.
but then I froze
Yeah.
because I thought chronic illness is very expensive. So people won't be able to have money to pay me to actually come for coaching as well.
Hmm.
Or the other thing is, we've got a 6 month contract, but you ill. You have a terrible flare up, you're in hospital, not your
Hmm.
fault.
Right.
Okay, and suddenly I can't see you today.
Hmm.
Um, Financially, it's such a big impact in the
Hmm.
end. But I thought to myself, I really want to get to the chronic illness patients, but
Yeah.
can I financially do it at the moment because I'm working for SACTA anyway? Anyway,
Hmm.
doing a lot of things free for them.
Yeah.
So I'm still not sure whether I should just say,
Hmm.
okay, round one, ding ding, let's do the chronic illness,
Yeah.
and maybe say, okay, again, let's not change it, but let's say, okay, the next cohort. That's why I thought
Yeah.
Cheryl was very, very clever with the word cohort. The next cohort
Yeah.
is breaking through parenting myths.
Hmm.
Next cohort is breaking through or getting through or whatever with with teenagers, teenage
Hmm.
parent coach.
Yeah. Right.
Kind of maybe sorting that in cohorts with group
Yeah.
coaching in between, so that there's some
Right.
sort of method. Because for
Yeah.
now, I think, ooh, I think,
No, I think that's a brilliant idea. I would really encourage you to reach out to Lori because she's a nurse by practice. And
mm,
so she has worked with a lot of ill patients. And that's a
mm,
really good question as far as like the financial piece of it and how do you handle that? She would have a lot of insight. I think I might ask her this myself, like how how was that handled? Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I would ask her some of those questions, like what was her experience when she was working with patients and coaching them about things,
okay,
right? And it might
okay,
all just come down to like where they're at
mm-hmm,
in like their healing process too. I'm not sure, but
mm,
she's a nurse, so and that's what she has used at the beginning when she first started coaching with
mm,
clients, like her niche.
great idea. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll do some more
Yeah.
market research with Lori.
Yeah. No, yeah. Ask her. Yeah. I would. Yeah. She's good.
Okay,
She's a great coach. But no, I think
I
the
have
in
to say,
between cohorts and that group coaching, like, is brilliant because you get a lot of money for not as much work.
yes.
Hmm.
Yeah, you know what? In 1996, my teacher asked me, so what are we were in that, in South Africa, we actually have a subject for two
Hmm.
years that's just about um, careers.
Yeah.
So you're only 14 years old and your teacher starts with, so what are you going? But
When you grow up.
fortunately, I knew. I said,
Yeah.
I'm going to become a psychologist, um, but specifically for groups. Why
Yeah.
would I do
Oh,
that? That's so much energy. You get this world. I don't think you should do that. You tried to convince me for 2 years not to do psychology. In the end, I did psychology.
good for
Fine.
you. That's crazy.
Yeah, and in the end, I realized, psychology is very slow, and it's she was right in the sense of it's too slow and a little
Mm.
bit too dark. But what I found is it gave me that bravery to sometimes climb in the hole with the
Yeah.
client in the darkness.
Hmm.
But it's okay.
Yeah.
Let's get out of this.
And
And
that's like such a beautiful gift to be able to give to someone.
yeah, I do feel that that does give me a bit of a difference because I'm not scared of going deep. It doesn't. It
Right.
doesn't frighten me at all. I'm like, oh, really? You know,
Let's go deeper. Yeah.
it's okay. We know here. So what do we
Mhm.
need now? And
Yeah.
that's why I decided, no, I'm not going to do my master's degree in psychology. I'm going further with coaching. I want to go
Gotcha. Yeah.
a little bit of a different angle. Why did I tell you the story now? I can't remember. Anyway,
We
let's
were talking
see.
about Lori, said she was great.
Oh, the
Ask her.
career thing.
Yeah.
So, and I even said to my teacher then, uh, but it's not going to be always individual. I just see the dynamic of groups and it reduces alienation, it reduces
Yeah.
isolation, it reduces I'm so weird, I'm so nobody
Yeah.
can understand me, so
Hmm.
um I think to Cheryl as well, I think I must just first
Make your rounds.
delve my uh through the financial responsibilities for now, but I think definitely in the immediate future, as soon as possible,
Hmm.
then I would definitely go for the group coaching certification. So these smaller group coaching
Yes.
things that's not so expensive. But I thought, okay, maybe I should just dip, dip
Yeah.
your toes in them just to start thinking about
Yeah.
it, just start getting a couple of tips.
Hmm.
Um, but once I've just got a big financial responsibility at the moment that I really need to first just pay off, and
Yeah.
it's going to be so enjoyable to do that. It's going to be awesome to say,
Yeah. I took a
yeah,
master course in group coaching and laser coaching, and it was phenomenal. I loved it. I really loved it. So I think you'll,
oh,
when it's time, the time is right for you, you'll really
yeah,
enjoy it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Cheryl was my instructor for that as well.
Oh, so she does that. Oh, it's fantastic. Good to know.
Yeah. But then, yeah. So then she started her own awesome school. And I was like, I was already teaching somewhere as well. And so I was like, but I
Yeah.
want to join you. So she's really
Always
amazing.
not.
She's really
Yeah,
amazing. Yeah.
yeah.
Person, life experience, and just what she brings as experience to the table as a coach is, I find, really
Mm.
awe-inspiring. And she doesn't talk, she is not a bragger, she is not a talker, but she is a woman to be respected.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
I agree.
So she is
Yeah,
brilliant.
yeah.
But yeah, speak to Lori and see what she has to say. I think she'll have some really good insights for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
I'll
we're
reach
all
out to her
here.
as well.
We are all here for you guys. So any way that we can help, we're here. That's how we do this. We
Thank
love it.
you. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Appreciate
love the
you guys.
teaching just as much as the one-on-one stuff.
Mm. Yeah, I have to
Yeah.
say, I love teaching as well. Parenting
Yeah.
also brings a lot of joy.
Yeah, it is. It's a really special thing.
Mhm. Okay, but I'm gonna love
Okay,
and leave
go.
you.
Yes, happy weekend. Go enjoy your weekend, enjoy your family, and I will see you next week.
Oh, you with us next
Okay.
week again?
Yes, I think so. If not, I am with you guys again
No.
before class ends.
Yeah, before class ends. Next week we are scheduled for our ICF
Oh,
mentoring.
mentoring. That's right. Yeah.
Um, but I
Yeah. And then,
don't think that is going to happen. Or let's put it that way. I invited Cheryl if she needs to reschedule and needs space, just move me
yeah,
along. And she
that
said,
was
okay,
sweet.
no,
Yeah.
I really need that. So
Sweet.
um
That was nice of you.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's just the ICF mentoring next week. So there's no
Oh,
formal
okay.
class. And then it's a holiday week. So then
Right.
it's
Well, in the
fun.
States it was.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, well,
Okay, honey.
enjoy, and I will talk to you at some point in the future, and I look forward to
Okay.
it.
All right. Thanks for
Bye.
everything. Bye.
Yeah, you're welcome. Bye. Bye-bye.